Another October has come and gone, and with it, another October classic. So, before the memory of this baseball season dims too much, here are 5 stupid things about the World Series. Its ever-diminishing cultural significance. Just so there's no confusion, I won't be talking specifically about this year's World Series, but more about the series in general. And speaking of which, hey, do you remember when people gave a shit about the World Series? Because I don't. I mean, not really. Yes, the 2001 and 2004 series seemed like shared American experiences for various reasons, but it feels like it's been a really long time since the World Series was consistently treated like a big deal for its own sake. We've all moved on now to the Super Bowl, which is a single game that can be treated as a de facto holiday where people can throw parties and binge on food and alcohol because fuck knows we can't have too many pretenses for doing that. I'm sorry if I sound bitter. It's tempting to view the decline in popularity of my favorite sport as symptomatic of a broader decline in my country's culture, even though I acknowledge that that's kind of a biased conclusion to reach. And it's not as if the World Series is perfect either. I mean, take just as one example all the talk of curses and superstitions. Like many of the players themselves, we fans are willing to indulge in any odd ritual that we think might help the mojo of our favorite team. As if God or the universe not only gave a shit about the outcome of a baseball game, but could be swayed to favor one side over the other by the sight of a baseball cap turned inside out. And when our favorite team fails to win a World Series for an extended period, we chalk that up to a curse. You still hear about that guy and his goat who got ejected from Wrigley Field in 1945 whenever the Cubs get anywhere near the World Series. Thankfully, since 2004, we have at least been spared the annual autumn retelling of the least scary Halloween story ever, The Curse of the Bambino. Home field advantage and the All-Star Game. Since 2003, home field advantage in the World Series has been decided by which side wins the All-Star Game in July. Why? Because the 2002 All-Star Game ended in a tie, and Major League Baseball, in its infinite wisdom, decided to try and make the All-Star Game more important, even though it has always been an exhibition game played purely for fan service and was never really supposed to mean anything, by allowing the outcome of that game to determine the scheduling format of the sport's signature event. And if you know anything about Major League Baseball executives, that actually makes perfect sense. There hasn't been a day game since 1987. The World Series might not be the Super Bowl, but a hell of a lot of people still watch it on TV. In order to maximize that television audience, every game of every World Series since 1988 has been played at night during East Coast primetime. Do you remember that magical fall day when you were a child? When you and your father got up early and drove into the city and you spent all afternoon at the ballpark watching a World Series game? You do? You must be so old. Also, what was your dad? A lawyer or something? Those tickets couldn't have been cheap. And did your mom not want to go? The Yankees have been in way too many of them. There have been 110 World Series held since the first one in 1903, and the New York Yankees have played in 40 of them and won 27 of them. Speaking as a lifelong Orioles fan and an occasional Red Sox fan, I can say that this is entirely too goddamn many. So many, in fact, that I can only conclude that the other 29 teams of Major League Baseball have been cursed. And I know why. Dig the photographic evidence. This is a photograph that was taken outside Yankee Stadium prior to Game 1 of the 1923 World Series. Now, do you see that guy standing off sort of to the right in the photograph? And he's looking right at the camera. That guy right there. Okay, that guy is a Giants fan. The Yankees were playing the New York Giants in the 23 series. Now, you see how the guy is kind of making a jerk-off motion there with his hand? By showing such disrespect to the Yankees outside of their home ballpark prior to the first World Series game ever to be played at that ballpark, that Giants fan offended the baseball gods and cursed the remainder of the American and National Leagues to a century of tiresome Yankee dominance. So blame that guy. It's all his fault. Thanks a lot, you fucking jerk off. The hardest part is only picking 5. Catch you next time.